It just so happens that nothing is original in fiction. Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Read, share, repeat, where we discuss books from the perspective of an aspiring fantasy author. Me, Carrie Share. And today I am bringing you my May TBR. So as you may know, if you have been following my channel, April was my bid to get back on the wagon after a major reading slump at the end of February and into March. And I am pleased to say that I am indeed back on the wagon. I'll talk more about this in my reading wrap-up next week, but April was one of my best reading months in terms of enjoying the books that I was reading. I've still got a couple out, but there were a lot of 4 stars. There were some high 3 stars and even a 5 star. So while the output wasn't like extraordinary, it was right down the middle. I was loving the books I was reading. And to me, that's more important than just reading a bunch of books back to back. And I am hoping to continue that trend into May. So with that, let's get into the books I will be picking up in this new month. The method by which I have been constructing my TBRs this year has really been working for me, and I'm going to continue that trend in May with 1 or 2 books that I am adding in outside of the established categories just because I want to read them for videos or because they were just anticipated releases and I don't want to wait on them. So the first category of books I will be reading in May are books that I had on last month's TBR that I just didn't get to this month. The first one of those I am not considering on my TBR anymore. It is just a book that I'm going to be reading in bits and pieces until I finish it, and that is Ashes of the Sun by Django Wexler. This was my random draw out of my Mimic in March, and I picked it up at the end of my reading slump, and I've really enjoyed what I have read, but I just have this weird disconnect with this book where I do not feel compelled to pick it up at all. I have read like 6 or 7 other books since starting it, and again, when I'm in between books, I'll flip through and read a few pages and feel like that will scratch the itch of wanting to know what's happening in the story, and so I'll put it away and then pick up a new book. I don't know what it is, because there's nothing wrong with it. I like the writing and I like the world and I like the conflict and I like the characters. I just don't feel a draw. So I am going to be kind of continuing to read that in bits and pieces, and maybe there will be a point or a plot point or something will happen where I'll want to finish it. I just don't know that it'll be this month. So technically, yes, this book is still on my TBR, but I'm not really prioritizing it, or if May will be the month where I feel like especially drawn to finish it. Next on this list is The Wild Huntress by Emily Lloyd Jones. And I did have this on my holds list, and then I checked it out, and then I overextended myself a little bit where I had too many back-to-back books and I just wasn't reading fast enough to get to it. So I actually sent it back. And then as I cleaned some of those out, I went back and saw that it wasn't on hold anymore. So I just borrowed it again, and now I've got time, and I'm actually going to be reading it as part of a readathon here at the end of April, and that goes into the first week of May. So definitely going to be reading it this month for sure. It'll be one of the first ones that I read. And then lastly in this category is Fireborn by Rosaria Munda. And again, this is one that just only came due recently, so I wasn't lollygagging on this one. It's just, I only just got it like a week ago, but I do have it checked out now, so I do have to read it in like the next 2 weeks. So another one that I'll be getting to pretty fast. So that's it for the books that were on last month's TBR. For my library holds this month, I've got 5 books. The first being Gardens of the Moon by Steven Erikson, and I tried to read this book in February during my slump, and again, there was nothing really wrong with it. It was just I was slumping, and there are just so many high fantasy concepts, a lot of characters, a lot of magic, a lot of places, a lot of dates, a lot of politics, and I just couldn't keep up with it all. My brain would just like felt like a full sponge, and I couldn't like retain any information, and that was making me not want to read it. Again, slumping and all of that. So I'm going to be trying my hand at it again. It's the first book of the Malazan series, which is a very popular, very long series with multiple authors, very large universe. So definitely want to dip my toes back into it. I'm just hoping that I don't experience the same like overwhelmed feeling that I did the first time. Next on this list is Little Thieves by Margaret Owens. I should have looked that up before I said that. Margaret Owen. And this is a YA Goose Girl retelling. And while I don't typically jive with YA, I have heard so many good things about this book in particular. And I've read the synopsis and it sounds like it could be interesting. So I decided to just bite the bullet and go ahead and pick it up. And I've actually got a video planned for it later this month. Hope you look forward to it. Next on this list is Dangerous Assassin by Elizabeth Wheatley. And I think this is a romantasy. Just continuing to try romantasy to see if I can find something that works for me. Next on this list is The City in Glass by Nhi Vo. And I don't really know that much about it other than it's about angels and demons and a city that has been ruined and trying to bring glory back to the city. It looks cool. I've seen it a couple of times as I've been scrolling through my library's catalog, and unfortunately I am running out of books to place on hold. This was one of the ones where it did have a hold time on it. I like to check out books that have a hold period because that helps me pace myself. I have found that if I let myself just check out books, I will check out 10, the maximum I can through the Libby app, and then read maybe one of them and get really overwhelmed, and then the rest just lapse. And then, so I've got a tag of all the books that I want to read. And when my hold list, when a spot comes available on my holds list, again, I have it maxed out. I go onto that list and try and find one that has a hold period so that I could put it on the holds list. But I'm coming up to the end of those, and all manner of searching my library's catalog has not produced any enough to replace what I'm taking off. So eventually I'm going to come to the point where I'm just checking out books and I just have to learn how to moderate my intake. All that to say, we'll be getting to this one soon too. And that is kind of the reason I picked up this next book, which is The Blood That Binds Us by Erin Maynard. I think this is another romantasy, and it just had a hold period. Yeah. And that's really it. Not much to say about that one other than we'll see. And those are my library holds and books that I expect to come due in the new month. Some of them have a 2-week hold time and the others have a 4-week hold time. I don't really expect to get to all of them. I'm not averse to reading the first 5%, and if it's jiving, then I will continue, and if it's not, I'll just DNF it. But I'm also not averse to delaying the delivery of the book if it comes available and I'm not ready, or I have too many books, or I'm in the middle of a bunch of others and I just know that I don't have time for it. But those are the books that I'm expecting to become available this month. The next category is books that are on my 2025 priority reads list. I will link the video to that list in the cards above if you want to take a look at it, but basically it's a list of 27 books that I want to read in 2025. As such, I am trying to read at least 2 of those every month. After falling a little bit behind on this list because of the reading slump in March, I got back on the wagon by reading 4, and I'm in the middle of a 5th in April. So back on track and excited to continue knocking books off of this list. Starting with The Golden Enclaves by Naomi Novik. This is the 3rd and final book in her Charlemagne's trilogy, and I have been kind of surprised by how much I've liked the books in the series so far. I'm not a big YA person, as I've mentioned before, but the tropes and the writing style of these books, I feel, aren't as YA as some YA is. And I ended up really loving the main character, Elle, and her struggle to find her place in the world and make friends especially. I have found that that is a trope that I really, really love, is when a young woman who has been ostracized by society, or is kind of prickly, or has a darkness about her, or can be dangerous or violent, discovers the power of friendship, especially female friendship, and that is a major component of this series. And so I've really, really enjoyed my time with it, and this will round out the series for me. So I'm also going to be reading this for the readathon, so I will be getting to this pretty quickly and I can't wait. Next up off my 2025 priority reads is Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb, and this is actually a reread for me. 3 of the books on that list are rereads, and this will be the first one that I'm tackling. I read Assassin's Apprentice in like 2018, maybe it may even be 2017, but it was a long time ago, and I loved it. Gave it 5 stars. I, at the time, said that I wanted to write a book just like it. It was the kind of book that I love to read and want to produce myself. However, after I read it, I never went back to the series because that is just the kind of problematic that I am. And now it has been just too long for me, I feel like, to go ahead and pick up Royal Assassin. I do remember most of the major beats and the characters, but I think I would just feel better about moving on with the series if I reread this one first. I've been saying I'm going to reread this for like a year, and I even picked it up and got through the first like 60 pages. Again, just lost energy and had to put it back down. And then I decided to do my annotation project. So now I'm going to be annotating it as well. So hopefully going to finally put this one back on my read list and get it taken care of. So those are the two books off my 2025 priority reads. Normally at this point I would be drawing a random book out of my TBR Mimic, but I'm going to add in 2 bonus books that I will be reading if I manage to get the majority of these other books read. The first is A Sorceress Comes to Call by T. Kingfisher. I love T. Kingfisher. I'll read anything she puts out, and I have been reading a T. Kingfisher book like once every other month or so, pretty much for the last 18 months. This is a Goose Girl retelling, and from what I understand, really plays on T. Kingfisher's ability to write dark but cozy fairy tales. So I'm really looking forward to this one, and it's nice and short, and yeah, so ideally, I'll be getting to this one about the middle of the month. And then in this category, a true bonus book, A Drop of Corruption by Robert Jackson Bennett. This is on my 2025 priority reads list, but I don't know if I can prioritize it right now with everything else. But this is the second book in the Shadow of the Leviathan trilogy, the first being The Tainted Cup, which I read last year and really loved. And the more I think about it and the more I recommend it, I wonder if I shouldn't have given it a 5-star. I gave it 4.5 star because there's a Sherlock Holmes style character in these books, and those always kind of grate me wrong. Just the arrogance and the eccentricities and just some of the personality quirks of those kinds of characters always tend to like irritate me. And that was the case in The Tainted Cup. I recently went back and rewatched my like reading vlog of it, and I made a comment that Robert Jackson Bennett used the word grinned to describe how this Sherlock character's like facial expressions like 100 times. And that's just the sort of nitpick thing that even when I look back on it, and even though I really enjoyed it, and even though I'm really looking forward to this one, I think it would still hold me back from giving it a 5-star today. All that to say, I'm still really looking forward to this one. I hope I have time. I really do. I think if I don't get to it this month, I will probably be reading it in June. Okay, and now it is time to finally draw a random book out of my TBR Mimic. If you're not familiar, some people have a TBR jar. I have a TBR Mimic. He opens up here, and inside are scraps of paper. And on these scraps of papers are numbers that correspond to every single book that I own. That's physical, that's ebook, and that's my audiobook collection as well. I have a spreadsheet where I maintain my owned library, and so all these numbers correspond to that spreadsheet. I just feel like this is a truly random way to get a random book, and in the past it has really worked well for me because it helps me choose books that I might not otherwise have chosen for myself, or have given me an excuse to read a book that I have been looking forward to. Unfortunately, I've been striking out with the Mimic this year. I have not finished a single book that I've drawn from this Mimic, and I've actually unhauled 2 of the books that I've drawn and DNF'd a 3rd. And the other one was Ashes of the Sun, which I am struggling to complete. So the Mimic has been instructive. It helped me make decisions to unhaul some books that probably I shouldn't have kept for so long anyway. I'm really hoping to get a good one here just to get back on track, because I love drawing a book from the Mimic. Is one of my favorite parts of the month, just because you never know what you're gonna get, and unfortunately that has worked against me. So we're gonna give him a little shake, and we're gonna choose one from the bottom, because the last couple of times I've picked from the top and they've been really high numbers, so I want to try one from the bottom. Let's see. So this one corresponds to 96. Can you read that? It says 96. It's kind of faded, but let's find out what 96 corresponds to. Okay, I asked for it. Number 96 corresponds to The Blood of Elves by Andrzej Sapkowski. This is the first book in the Witcher trilogy, the original Witcher trilogy. I understand there is a prequel and it is recommended as a starting point, but I'm going to do my best to read them in publication order instead. I have a fraught relationship with The Witcher, mostly because a couple years back, my partner was telling me about The Witcher and some of the lore. He has played the video games, obviously, and how the universe in this book is. And the longer he talked, the more my heart sank and crumbled and turned to stone, because a lot of the components of how this universe is made up, I had actually used in a story idea of my own. And they so closely match that I don't know that I can even write that story anymore, because they are so closely like identical to each other. And while I have never read this book before, obviously, and I've only watched 1 or 2 episodes of the TV show, and I've never played the games, and I can honestly say that I came up with the idea on my own. It just so happens that nothing is original in fiction. But like I said, I do feel a certain type of way about this book that has less to do with the book itself and more because of my own disappointment. And yet, when I was at Half Price Books, they had a box set of the original trilogy, and why not? I said, why not indeed? Look how large the words are on this. Oh my gosh. I'm going to give it a shot and finally kind of maybe put those demons to bed. And maybe, what are the chances that my partner was just badly explaining it? And by reading the series, I'll learn that I still can use that story idea because the related components are not that similar after all. Maybe. And that is it. That is my entire TBR for this month. Let's see how many books that is. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay, so that's 13. Again, I don't anticipate reading all of these. A Drop of Corruption especially is a bonus, and some of those books off my library holds I may not get to, but I am averaging 7 books a month when I am of sound reading mind, slump notwithstanding. Just over half, hopefully more. So we'll just see. And with that, thank you so much for watching. I so appreciate it. If you like my content and want to support the channel, please like and subscribe below. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, please let me know in the comments which of my TBR books you are most excited for me to read. In my next video, I will have my May cozy reset for you. I hope you look forward to it, and I will see you then. Bye.